Good morning. Welcome to the Islamic Finance Weekly, where we discuss key developments in the non-interest finance market. The existence of Islamic finance has become imperative in many jurisdictions of the world, and it is expected to continue to spread in view of the economic growth in countries with huge Muslim population. Nigeria is home to the largest population of Muslims in sub-Saharan Africa. It also aspires to be the hub for non-interest banking in the region. The question is, what does non-interest finance mean to some Nigerians? How will it reduce poverty and create jobs for the unemployed citizens? Today, we are going to discuss simplifying non-interest finance and the benefits for Nigerians. Joining me for this conversation is Mrs. Shaista Mukadam, Senior Lecturer at Birmingham City University at the United Kingdom. Good morning and thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
A lot has happened in the Islamic finance market since it came into prominence post-2009 global economic crisis. So share with us the historical development and global trends in the industry.
If you look at what happened with the global crisis and why Islamic financial institutions and Islamic banks did not suffer as much as conventional banks, it is because of three concepts which they follow, which is no interest, no uncertainty, and no gambling. Whereas the West and the conventional banking is based on derivatives and it's not asset backed, Islamic finance and Islamic banking in particular always ties the borrowing and the lending to an asset. We are an asset backed philosophy. There is no, you cannot allow the creation of debt and direct lending and borrowing unless that debt is attached to an asset. So obviously it has more value. We have various real assets in Islamic finance and the lease-based models. The asset which is sold or leased must be real. The seller or lessor must own and possess the goods, and the transaction should be a genuine transaction. So now Islamic finance has been in the whole world for about 40 years. So comparable to conventional finance, we are still a very, very young and we've just got into our teenagehood, you can say. So we are still trying out various permutations and combinations, but the basic tenet of no interest and a partnership model with the person who needs the finance and the person who has the finance makes it very transparent and is based on assets and ethics. The global Islamic economy is about $3 trillion in 2020. We had a bit of a fall because of COVID and the general disruption to economies, but it is expected to grow to about 3.4 trillion by 2025. Nigeria is a very good example of a country who is trying to adapt and move on economically by adopting Islamic finance, and people need to realize that in all the Abrahamic faiths, that is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, interest is not allowed. So we have to go back a little bit and talk to people in terms of commonality. People are non-Muslims also avail of Islamic finance. In fact, the first Islamic bank in the UK has more non-Muslim customers than Muslim customers, because everybody wants to do their business transactions in an ethical and fair manner, not exploitation of one another. We all have to live on this earth. We have to look after the environment, and the UN SDGs, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, are all based on Islamic finance. So you can call it ethical finance, responsible finance, but it is all based on the same tenets of profit, loss, and risk sharing. So we should keep it simple, we should make people aware of it, and we should take this opportunity now to grow and evolve with Islamic finance. And you can call it something else and come back with people in terms of the commonalities we have rather than the differences.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Shaista, for taking us through the historical development of Islamic finance. I must tell you that I'm a bit curious about misconceptions on Islamic finance as a whole, because some believe its product is only for Muslims till now. So let me ask you, why the fear and dearth of knowledge about Islamic finance?
Uh, the fear of knowledge. Unfortunately, we've had a few bad eggs who say they practice Islam, but they are not practicing Islam in the way it should be. So, Islamic finance and Islamic banking, especially, has got a bad name because some of the unscrupulous people have taken people's money and disappeared. If you go back to the tenets of the Quran and the Sunnah, where the Prophet ﷺ, took this model and implemented it in Medina, the first thing he did when he migrated was he built a mosque and he built the marketplace. So you will see that all their transactions were ethical, were fair, were transparent, and in fact, the seller has to tell the buyer what his profit margin is. And you have to make a just profit because the whole concept is built on socio-economic justice. But because Islam and the media has hyped only the bad about Islam and not the good, people have been influenced by that.
So Islamizing the country. Some believe Islamic finance is to Islamize the country and not to solve the economic challenges.
No, so that is a misconception, and we have to speak. I've been researching about Nigeria now, and I've realized that there is a huge Catholic population, a Christian population, and we need to speak to them, create awareness, and show them via evidence from their Bible and from our Quran that these tenets are common. This is what the Abrahamic faith is all about. If they're not comfortable by using the term Islamic finance, then call it ethical finance, call it responsible finance. But the idea is that all of us and everybody in the world has to be able to be given the equal opportunity because the resources belong to everybody. In economics, we've always learned that resources are scarce and needs are unlimited. But you know what? In Islamic economics, Allah tells us in the Quran, He has provided enough resources in the world for everybody. And you have to so resources are actually abundant and our needs are unlimited, but we have to now look at our needs and try and minimize those needs, believe more in sharing resources and using it because we will be accountable for it. We are going to be asked about it on the day of judgment. Right? So there is the way we have been taught economics and what economics actually is, according to Islamic economics, is a whole 360 degrees reverse. You see, so you have to have a mindset of abundance, and Allah has written your resources, He's written your rizq, and you will get that sustenance. He is the creator. Once you agree to that, then things can be solved.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Shaista, for your explanation. I really appreciate your intervention. So now the introduction of innovative Islamic finance products has been described as the catalyst to the industry. What are the emerging opportunities for improving the penetration of non-interest finance markets in Nigeria and Africa?
Just this week, Nigeria's Lagos has become the fintech capital of Africa. I have been researching and I've realized that your power system and the electricity in the country is not very stable, but there is a population of 200 million, which is the highest in Africa, and the country's mobile money market is about $4 billion, 1% of GDP, which is a huge amount. And 70% of the country is under 30 years old. So that means there's a huge opportunity for this financially capable group of people to use technology which is in their hands, become technologically savvy, and use that as a means to learn about Islamic finance or responsible finance and to implement that in small projects initially and then take it further. So I would advise these students and these researchers and now with COVID, everything you can do sitting in your house with just a internet connection, isn't it? So to reach out these experts we have in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in the Gulf region, in the UK, we have very good researchers and people who have tried various Sadaqah models, various Karde Hassan models, to try and partner with them to learn about it first and then implement it in their own region. Entrepreneurship is a huge part of Islamic finance. Allah absolutely likes trade but hates interest. So if you can do it on a trade, profit, loss, and risk sharing, that's all it is. We don't need so many big Islamic banks or anything. We can do it in other ways, like using fintech, like using crowdfunding, like using the other platforms we have. And if students are interested and come on to LinkedIn, there is a plethora of resources you can use to try and advance people, because everybody has one talent. They have something they can offer the country and the economy. What we need is honesty, transparency, fairness, and doing everything with the intention of pleasing the creator. So it is quite simple if we go back to the basics, to try and improve the non-interest finance market in Nigeria.
Okay.
There is a
I
huge
like
potential.
the fact that you talk about how the millennials, Nigerians use to leverage in technology, and you talk about entrepreneurship as trade is being permitted in the Holy Quran, but interest is not permitted. So let me ask you this question. So how can the non-interest finance products be used to create jobs in Nigeria and reduce poverty, as of now the country poverty rate is over 45% population and the unemployment rate is alarming?
Okay, so if we have, let's go back to basics. Supposing one person has an idea and a business plan of where he can create maybe clothes, the colorful clothes you're wearing. Okay, so he can buy the material. He needs money to buy the material and stitch those clothes, and he can employ 10 people to stitch the clothes, because he's found a market where he can sell those clothes, right? So he goes to an Islamic bank or an Islamic institution with this idea and says, please lend me X amount of money, say £10,000, so I can set up this business, employ these 10 people. These are my real figures of my expenses, not inflated expenses, in cash. And by 2 months' time, I will sell this clothes. I will make a profit of 20%. 10% belongs to you because you gave me the money. 10% is my work and my employees' share, and I will share the profit with the employees. Okay, so this is a perfect model of profit, loss, and risk sharing that will get the buy-in of the employees to do their best work. You will sell your clothes and you have a profit model. Then as you make your profit, you can either pay back the loan without interest, and you can carry on this model. You see? So that's how it works in a very simple, small sense. And that you employ 10 people for that. So your employment is also, your employment rate is coming down. So if everybody works on something like this, it will work.
Regulations are critical to the growth of the Islamic finance in Nigeria and Africa. So how will you describe the current regulatory framework in the region as it concerns the non-interest finance market?
So the Nigerian infrastructure is quite poor and the government is not supportive. But in spite of that, venture capital firms are betting on the tech sector in that country.
Boss now, the VC.
Yeah. So Japan, China, and other countries are looking at Nigeria because they realize, see, Japan has an aging population. China has their own problems, but they have the money. And then we have the GCC countries, which have a lot of money, and they're looking to invest in real assets where they will get a return. So I think this has to be more citizen driven rather than government driven. So if citizens can show enough interest in an alternative model which is not based on interest, because interest is just going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer, there is a loss and a risk factor, and they are willing to take on that challenge. The Islamic Developmental Bank is available. There are various experts in AOFI who can help them. And Islamic finance is quite country specific, because you have your own laws, you have your own citizens, you have their past history. So you have to work with everybody. So what we need is and the SEC in Nigeria is doing some phenomenal work to get this. I mean, not calling it Islamic finance, but non-interest finance is a big start, and that will appease the Christians as well, because they don't want to call it Islamic finance, which is fine. What's in a name? There's nothing in a name, but you keep the core tenets the same, and build a favorable regulatory framework where, again, there has to be honesty, transparency, and fairness.
Exactly.
So if that is your model and you get a few people to agree to start working within these, and the basic thing that is lacking now in Nigeria is awareness of Islamic finance, awareness of the models. And that can be, you don't need uh, you need courses for people to train in that and to spread that information. And you are doing a great job with this Islamic Finance Weekly to make people aware that there is another system which had been hidden for 1435 years, and we are to blame as well. We have not come out and researched it enough. But to research what has happened in Malaysia and Indonesia and the GCC countries and see what can be applied to Nigeria in that country specific area.
You're correct. Transparency, affordability, and awareness are critical to facilitate Islamic finance products in order to enhance the effectiveness. So, when we look at Islamic finance and financial inclusion in Nigeria and Africa, is there a clear synergy between the policy and strategy of the government to leverage Islamic banking to achieve this? Can Islamic banking and finance spur financial inclusion?
The biggest factor which can increase financial inclusion is awareness, and the awareness can be imparted now with the online resources, and everybody has a mobile in their hand. So you need to use that resource more effectively to make people understand that there is an alternative way of buying and selling and using their money. So that's one. Secondly, the government is in a hard place because of the previous conflicts between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria. So they have to be very mindful and very sensitive to that fact. There is no need or no purpose in dividing them further. You have to educate them on what are the commonalities between them rather than differences. And I think media has a big role to play in this. And the chieftains, or the people who most people listen to, whether they are of the Christian faith or the Islam faith or no faith, need to be responsible, not look at their own interests at this time, but look for the community wide interest. They need to see that Nigeria has a huge opportunity now to rebuild, reform, regulate their financial transactions, and actually conduct their business in an ethical way. So they need to take that opportunity and take it seriously. Um, the profit, loss, and risk sharing avenues, there has to be. So what, I mean, we've just come through COVID. What do people want? People want a hospital if they fall sick. They want somewhere where they have work life balance. They want a job, and they want somewhere where they can find recreation, right? So all this infrastructure can be built with the sukuk. You can have international bonds based on the sukuk, where it's tied to an asset. You build the asset, and once the asset starts operating, you start your nominal charge for the users, and that bonus or that thing is paid, the profit is paid back to the bondholders. And sukuk has been very, very I mean, even here the Shard was built on a sukuk. The Olympic Village was built on a sukuk. So it's a very easy and just way of creating the infrastructure. Use the IT and digital resources. All students should be on LinkedIn Learning, should use the free resources which are available on the net to learn something, to promote themselves and to promote the country and the country's resources. Reach out to other countries. I have been going through so much of Nigeria for the past week. I haven't really seen any bilateral relationships with, say, Nigeria and the UK, Nigeria and Malaysia. So reach out to these countries and the
Partnership.
people who have the expertise to help them, just talk to you, have meetings, give you ideas, and then you can set off on your way. Okay, because we don't know what is actually happening because we are far away, but then we have experience on what we have learned, and that can be shared. Okay, in a way, Allah Ta'ala has made it easy for us with this COVID to be able to talk like this. So we need to take advantage of that. And entrepreneurship, crowdfunding, fair trade, the halal supply chain. The halal market is a huge market now. It's like even Muslims can use it and non-Muslims also can use it, but they want to know where everything is originating and what that person who is picking the cocoa or making the chocolate, how much is he getting. Everything has to be fair and just. So people should work with the government, try and educate the government, as well as create groups to create this momentum to find avenues to leverage Islamic banking at the moment in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Collaboration is key, as you've said, and Nigeria needs to learn from other countries to develop its non-interest market. So let's talk about the AFCFTA. With the advent of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, so what are the opportunities for the Islamic finance, especially in the area of trade finance and amongst others?
Yes, I was looking at this and I was very interested to find that 54 countries have joined a single continent market. It is almost double than what we had with the European Union. Okay, so you have a union where we've had the European Union. We also had a free trade market, goods and services. People could travel through the countries without a problem, and free goods and services. But we have also seen what the pitfalls were. What happened to the Greece economy? What happened to the German economy? What happened to the UK economy? And then Brexit. So actually, with your African Continental Free Trade Agreement, you have already a living example of what worked in the European Union and what did not work. So learn from that. Use that as your starting point as to what are the pitfalls or why they didn't work, and don't do those activities. And what worked, try and collaborate and try to make more use of that. In all this, I think there's a deep-rooted issues with traders in countries like Kenya, Ghana, and South Africans. There is something, again, if people can sit around a table and solve their differences, that is the best way forward. And the cost of doing business in Nigeria is fairly low compared to other countries. And Nigeria needs to use this as a catalyst, bring all the people on board who are making important decisions, and to take off as an economy. Again, truth, honesty, transparency, collaboration, pick on people, use your resources very ethically and very mindful that tomorrow you will have to give accountability for that. And once that mindset, that awareness of the sustainable goals of using the environment carefully, you will make this African Continental Trade Agreement work. And if there are some differences, sit across the table and resolve them. Try to use conflict management and resolve these issues, because Africa is a beautiful country. They have lovely people, great resources, but historically, if one continent does well, some of the other continents and some of the other people, without spelling it out, don't like it, and they will create barriers. So don't let someone from outside come and tell you what your problem is. If your problem is inside, sit down, face it, resolve it with a good intention, and use your resources economically and justifiably so you can reach the next level. I think it is a very interesting phase for Nigeria.
All right, from what you've discussed so far today on these programs, like investment in technology, infrastructure, micro, small, and medium enterprises, that is the MSME, talk about entrepreneurship, and these are ways Islamic trade finance can create jobs and lift millions from poverty in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mrs. Shaista Mukadam, for providing insight on non-interest finance and opportunities for Nigerians and Africans. We appreciate your intervention.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I just wanted to say one thing before I go. Can I say that?
All right.
We have a new Accounting and Islamic Finance course, a bachelor's program in
Okay.
Birmingham City University.
Okay.
And this is the first of its kind in a UK university. And we are looking to educate students about normal accounting practices as well as Islamic finance
Islamic
modules
finance,
so
okay.
that they can be trained in this fantastic field.
Okay, certification courses or PGD.
It is an undergraduate degree, a 3-year degree in accounting and Islamic finance.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.
Indeed, there is enormous opportunities in Islamic finance, but the fear, debt, and knowledge of misconception have not allowed its growth in Nigeria and Africa. We urge all the stakeholders, companies, individuals, government, operators, and regulators to ensure that non-interest finance services is simplified in a layman's language for people to know the value and utilize it effectively. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Visit www.crucialnd.com to read the Islamic finance news, reports, and analysis. Click on Web TV Banking channel to watch the Islamic Finance weekly videos. You can also engage us on our social media platform displaying on the screen. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.